it pains me as a transportation professional to realize how long it actually takes to bring things to fruition. But this trail is going from Nogalitos to Provence Street, and it's not quite a mile, but it is really a central part of the community and of the district. So this Lone Star Rails to Trail project and concept came about in 2013. So many of you may be familiar with our planning office and the great work they're doing and have done back in 2013 with the Lone Star neighborhood plan. So it was then 8 years ago when this concept for converting this abandoned land to a trail. So the way things work, it's unfortunate, but for several years, the Department of Public Works and all of its iterations, and now the Department of Transportation, we spent a lot of time working on land acquisition, the planning, and the design for this trail. So now we have, in December of 2020, we did get a contract awarded and we began construction. So I know it has taken some time, and that's the nature of the beast, but fortunately, we were able to acquire the land to continue this project. So where we are today, many of you have seen the construction. The contract that was awarded in December, in February, we began construction. So if you look at these images, you can see from South Flores to Nogalitos and also Flores to Applewhite, and then where we are. So we've done some of the trail, we've incorporated the ADA improvements, and now the next part for us is to complete the trail. So our goal is to complete the trail by the summer, and in the next month, we will be awarding a new contract to begin the design for this portion of the corridor. So these are the areas where we're looking at some stormwater issues here in this particular area. And once we get the drainage and analysis completed, we'll be able to begin that design process to complete the trail. We hope to resume this work in April, and by that time, we will have a better idea of how long it's going to take to complete it. And we will look forward to coming out to the community in the next few months to give you an update on when we anticipate the final completion of the project. And that is the update on the trail. This project, unlike many of the bond projects around the city, this project wasn't funded through the bond. It was actually funded through the budget for the Bike Infrastructure Management Program. So this is not something that was funded through the bond, and that's part of the reason why it has taken quite some time to actually complete the construction of the project, because it was a part of the budget for the division within Public Works through the years. And just based on the schedule, and a large part of this schedule included the acquisition of the property. So when we have these spaces where we can do these things, and Teresa and I have talked at length about conversations about railroads and property acquisition, this is one of those great opportunities, because in my experience, it can take up to a decade to actually acquire even abandoned rights of ways from the railroad. So I'm looking forward to being able to share with the community the experience of unveiling this with the city and the councilwoman in the summer. So any questions I'd be happy to take at this time.
So the other thing as well, Tamika, that you may think it's just this, but it's actually much larger. And the vision, both from the community and from the councilwoman, truly is to make this trail connect the San Pedro Creek all the way to the San Antonio River, which will in turn, thanks to our creek system, connect all of our communities and all those who really enjoy a different form of transportation, bicycling, walking, and so on. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. If you have any questions on the Rails to Trails, please email us, and or I believe questions will be opened up towards the end of the presentations. So now, without any further ado, I think that it's a great time for us to introduce Mr. Peter French, Director of Development at Gray Streets Partners, Jonathan Brisden, CEO at Midway, Don Quigley, the Vice President of Investment and Development at Midway, Katrina Berger, senior marketing strategist at Midway, to provide us an overview of the Lone Star development. And I'll let them go and get started. I'm not sure which one of you will get started for us, but please.
Hi, everybody. Peter French here. First, just want to thank you all very much for facilitating the meeting tonight, bringing this diverse group of stakeholders together. We're really excited about unveiling the plans for Lone Star District, and thrilled to have so much participation both from community members and all departments of the city. In particular, thank you, Councilwoman Gonzalez and Teresa. But this is going to be a group effort to make this project happen, to facilitate the kind of change and transformation that we think is possible. And hopefully, though shamelessly self-promoting, I'm going to do it. We are the right team to finally make this happen. So it's kind of the elephant in the room to not mention, as the councilman did, that this is not the first time you all have heard this dog and pony show, but hopefully it is the last. So we hope to underpromise and overdeliver, and make something that we can all find accessible and attractive and interesting and engaging, and turn something that has been an eyesore for decades into a loved and cherished place again. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Don, and he can keep the show rolling.
Really excited to be here today and be presenting this to everybody. I think what's exciting about the partnership between Midway and Gray Street is, we between both of our firms, we have a lot of core capabilities within this type of project, and something that is really near and dear to everybody's hearts here is creating really remarkable places. I can speak for Midway. We've been in business for over 50 years, and developing projects all over the country, very heavily focused in Texas. It's where we're based and what we call home. And we've done this in several markets and are really excited to jump into San Antonio. This is our first project in San Antonio in quite a while, and a city that a lot of us hold near and dear to our hearts, and are really excited to be working in again. Our purpose really is simple. We want to develop these marketable places, and enrich people's lives. And I think it speaks to the value of the project that we have in front of us. Lone Star is an incredible neighborhood, in a great part of town, in a wonderful city, San Antonio, that we're just really thrilled to be working in. Our partnership with Gray Street is really unique in that they bring a ton of local experience and have been doing great things in San Antonio for quite a while here. And so I think between our two firms, we believe that we have the capability and the ability to make sure that this project happens. As Peter mentioned, we know we're not the first ones here, and fortunately we have the opportunity to learn from past mistakes, but also I think our specific experience makes us uniquely qualified to deliver something really special here at Lone Star. So some of y'all may be pretty familiar with Gray Street, given their location in San Antonio. But for Midway, we've been developing mixed-use properties around Texas for the better part of 20 years. And several of those has been in the Southeast Texas region, a couple in Houston, one in College Station, and hopefully Lone Star District here in San Antonio. But something that's really important to us is delivering green spaces, and delivering projects that have spaces for people to congregate, because that's where we believe the real magic happens. And the real opportunity for us here at Lone Star is to take something that is already there and already present, is a great neighborhood, a great community that has a really vibrant history, and just enhance that. And a lot of great amenities with the river and the walkability that's already there in Lone Star, And so take that and really just expand upon that in our development vision. So these are just a couple examples of projects we've developed in Houston. You know, the one at the bottom there showing the green space, that's a 6-acre park that was redeveloped in the city of Houston. It was, you know, a park that wasn't visited a lot, but it was a great green space that just needed some activation around it. And so with a partnership with the city of Houston and a local neighborhood organization there, we were able to partner with them and develop a project that has won numerous awards internationally for design and public green space, and something we're really proud of. It's called Levy Park there, and it's in the Upper Kirby district of Houston. And you know, pre-COVID had a lot more visitors than it does today, but one that we know will bounce back really quickly. So something that we know is really near and dear to the people of San Antonio is the history of Lone Star. You know, we're probably regurgitating information that a lot of people on this call already know, but we really value the rich heritage and the history of this site, going back all the 19th. You know, we've really enjoyed hearing from people in San Antonio and local stakeholders who have already shared their stories about how important Lone Star was in their childhood and their upbringing. And it's something that we think is a huge advantage to this site, something that we have every intention of highlighting as we develop it. And so one thing that I think was brought up earlier, but we very much encourage people to connect with us and share their story. We'll provide some information at the end of this presentation on how to connect. But we really do want to understand, you know, what the site meant to you from a personal experience, and something that we know has a lot of heritage, and you know, is to us is one of the most important development sites in Texas. So we're really excited to share that vision with you. So to get right into it, this is a great rendering of the first phase of Lone Star. And so this is looking west from the river. You can see there in the bottom of the picture. As I mentioned earlier in our presentation, something that's really important to Midway and to Gray Street is to highlighting green spaces and to highlighting areas for people to connect and for people to gather. And so we want to really bring the river into the site. You can see there in the middle of the picture the historic buildings that are there today, and it offers us a great opportunity to highlight the existing architecture and the existing buildings that are there, and is some authenticity that, you know, we could not recreate. It's already there. We just need to preserve it and to showcase it. And so we're very excited and appreciative of that opportunity to do so. You know, what you see there in front of you is approximately 12 acres of programmed first phase, which we'll get into the details of that. But something that we're very excited about, and I think the theme for us along this entire stretch of the river here is embracing connectivity. Something that this site has as a very unique characteristic is multiple opportunities to bring the river into the site and to enhance the connectivity that's there. You know, this river stretch down here south of town is a wonderful opportunity for people to experience the river. It offers an extremely beneficial connection to the World Heritage Sites, the missions that are south of town, and something that we absolutely are excited to embrace, and something that we really want to highlight in our first phase especially. So just a little bit about our process. So when Midway starts out on a project, we always start off with guiding principles, and these are kind of the Northern Star for us. And so, you know, we want to establish a long-term relationship with this site. Midway and Gray Street have partnered up on this for our long-term vision. We're anticipating this will take approximately 10 years to develop the entire site. As Peter kind of alluded to, you know, the way that we are looking at this is a little bit different than some of the previous developers that have embarked on this venture. And it's something that we're fully committed to delivering on. And so given the long-term nature of our partnership here, we really believe firmly in establishing these guiding principles. And, you know, some of these are consistent with other Midway developments, but a few of them are unique to Lone Star. And I think the first one that's right in front of us is the river. As I mentioned earlier, connecting to the river is a big priority for us. We think that that is an enormous amenity that the community has already embraced, and one that we want to highlight even further. And is a wonderful green space and trail system that we can tap into, and just further expand upon the opportunities for people to utilize that green space. Creating a destination that is a very consistent one for Midway. We believe that if we create an all-day district, something that people can envision themselves spending all day in one of our projects, and embracing it as a local destination, we believe that's a big win. This site has a ton of authenticity. If you've been there and if you've driven by, there's a ton of relics from its history and things that we really want to highlight. For us, when we were trying to come up with what this project was going to be named, it was one of the shortest branding conversations we ever had. It was always going to be Lone Star. There was never a question about that. And I think if we tried to call it something else, people would think we were crazy. So, one of the things that I have really gotten to experience and enjoy in spending time in Southtown there is the enormous hub of local art and just the culture that is down there. And so one thing that we're really excited to offer the opportunity for is for local artists to express themselves. And that's going to be something that happens early at the site. That's also going to be something that continues on throughout the development of this project, and something we're committed to, not only at Lone Star, but as a company, is embracing local art and using our projects as an opportunity to showcase that. I've mentioned the importance of green space and outdoor environments to our projects, but it's something that, given the river connection and given the opportunity to create that green space, we think is a no-brainer. It's something that will absolutely enhance the neighborhood, enhance the district, and provide enormous opportunities for everybody to have a great time outside. We touched a little bit on history, but Lone Star has all the history you'd ever want with a project, and so connecting with the local community and the local stories that have been told in this site is something that we're really excited to hear from everybody. And right now we absolutely are in the story gathering phase. We want to hear from you. We want to understand what your experience was on site, and what's important to you about this property. And then obviously sustainability is something that's very important to everybody here. We know we're on the river, and we have every priority that can be made for low impact development and sustainable development is being taken into account from day one. We're really excited to provide something that's going to be a long lasting community destination, and something that people can be really proud of. I touched on the concept of the all-day district earlier, but one of the things that we really try to feature in our projects is for whoever is going to be interacting with the site, whether it's just a simple jog on the trails, or if you happen to office there, or if you're just running there for lunch or dinner, we want everybody to feel like they can interact with the site all throughout the day. And something that I think was lacking in previous attempts was approachability. And so something that we think is really important to this time around, and the project that we're going to be building there is something that feels like it belongs in Lone Star. We want not only the tenant mix, we want the retailers and the restaurants to feel like they belong in Lone Star. We want them to be a part of the neighborhood. We want the scale of the buildings to be appropriate. We want the architecture, which is very important. We want it to feel like it's been at Lone Star for a long time. And so we want this to feel like a very familiar destination for people. Whoever comes and interacts with the site, we want it to be very approachable for everybody. This is a great rendering of part of that phase 1 park that you saw in an earlier rendering. So this is once again looking west. I want to highlight the importance of the green space there, and the pedestrian friendly environment, something that we feature in all of our developments. and is a key element to promoting walkability is activated ground floor retail. And so we want there to be multiple opportunities for local, national, and regional retailers to be featured here, and something that promotes walkability in a very pedestrian-friendly environment. And you can see there the Lone Star smokestack is absolutely going to be preserved. It's something that we're really excited about and is a wonderful local landmark. That is something we're really excited to be able to showcase there. So this is another rendering of actually one of our parks in phase 2, and I want to call attention to the water features that are shown here, and something that I think is really important for this site as it matures. There were a lot of great opportunities to interact with water at Lone Star. One of the things that we think is really important to highlight today is that the river did not have the same amenity base that it provides today. And so one of the challenges that we face at Lone Star is that everything is set up to be very inward facing. You have a lot of buildings along the perimeter. You have amenities that are located on site, but they're very exclusive of the river. And so one of the things that we really think is important here is to draw the river into the site and flip the perspective so that the project faces outwards towards the river and towards the east side of San Antonio. There are a lot of great amenities with Roosevelt Park and everything that's to the east. We really want to highlight that, especially in the later phases, so that people feel connected to the rest of San Antonio and that the site does not feel insular. And I think it just provides an enormous opportunity for us to take advantage of the great work that the city of San Antonio and the San Antonio River Authority has done to make the river an amazing amenity that it is today. So getting into kind of the specifics. So this is a snapshot of what we're looking at for the first phase of Lone Star. As Councilwoman Gonzalez said, I think we're trying to take a very measured approach. Some of the variables that I think tripped up previous attempts to get something started at Lone Star started on too big of a scale. And so we're trying to start very modestly with just the Lone Star Boulevard facing tracks. So I'm going to start on the left side of the screen there. So planning about 250 units of multifamily that will be on the western track there and facing Lone Star Boulevard. In the middle, you see kind of a U-shaped building. That is the core of the historic block of the existing buildings that we're going to preserve and that we really want to highlight and bring to the forefront. We believe there's enormous opportunity for ground floor retail there, and we're still exploring some kind of upper floor options for the adaptive reuse of those buildings, but we fully intend to bring those back to life. On the eastern side there towards the river, you see a fairly large green space. That's the park that you saw in one of the earlier renderings. We really do want to bring the river into the site, and something that's really important to us is to promote walkability between these three parcels. So there's multiple options for pedestrians to travel east and west and promote walkability within this development. And then, with the efforts of the city of San Antonio and the improvements that are being made on Lone Star Boulevard, we believe this will be a vast improvement to the situation that is currently seen on site, and it will just be a catalyst for future development to the site on the south side of this picture. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Katrina, who's our senior marketing strategist, and she'll kind of talk through not only Midway's commitment to community events and activations, but what we have specifically planned for Lone Star, both in the near term and the long term.
Yeah, so just to give you a little backstory, Midway has their marketing is in-house, and so whenever we have these development opportunities and operational projects, we're hands-in from the very beginning. And so as you can see here, Midway executes more than 500 events and activations across our portfolio annually. So that's anything from live music, July 4th fireworks, photos with Santa during the holidays. We execute farmers markets. We partner with a lot of third-party nonprofits and organizations to do classic car shows, philanthropic events, anything you could think of, we've probably done it at this point. But what's really important and something that we want to speak on for Lone Star is the importance of doing activations even before we've broken ground. And so we're currently looking through and putting together our strategy for some of the activations that we have planned on site. And I included some photos here of another pre-development project that we have in Houston called East River and some of the early activations we've done there already. So that includes a drive-in movie theater that's currently still active. It's called Moonstruck Drive-In. We've also done shipping container art. You can see that on the bottom of the screen. Those are 6 shipping containers that were stacked up, and we had a local artist come in and do a mural that really depicts the neighborhood and the history of that site. And so we're super excited to meet with local artists and have conversations with them to see how we can get them incorporated early on, as well as once we have phase 1 developed too. And going into that phase 1 development, once we are operational, we do still continue having events and making sure that the community feels welcomed and has an opportunity to come on site and make memories with us. And so some of these photos here are operational sites of fireworks. At the top right, you can see a large annual event that we do at City Center called Lamborghini Festival, as well as live music that's typical on weekends. So we're super excited to clean up the site and welcome everyone back there and have more memories that, they used to have when Lone Star Brewery was there. So we're looking forward to that. Don, do you want to go to the next slide?
Sure.
And as Don mentioned back when we were talking about the history of the site, we are in the phase of collecting stories and photos and memorabilia and just wanting to hear from you and what those memories were and be able to share those with the community as well. And we are already getting some wonderful photos, but to kind of give you an idea of where you can submit those stories at, you can go to our website, lonestardistrictsa.com, down to the history section. There will be a little button there that will prompt you to the email history@lonestardistrictsa.com. I receive all those, so I'm looking forward to connecting with you and hearing your stories and collecting those for our database. Additionally, if you wanted to connect with us for leasing opportunities, partnership opportunities, events, if you're a local artist and you want to find how you can get connected with us to be a part of that, you can go down to the bottom of our website in the Connect section and email us, and that will go to info@lonestardistrictsa.com. You'll also find our Facebook and Instagram accounts there, and you can also subscribe to our mailing list. I believe that's the rest of our presentation, so I'll hand it back over to Teresa.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Teresa. We really appreciate you putting this together, and we're just really excited to share our vision for Lone Star District and what's to come.
Thank you all very much for presenting. And I know there's bound to be tons of questions, and we have till 7, which leaves us 45 minutes to speed through them. To everyone out there, we have a great panelist. I didn't introduce them at the beginning, but everyone is here to answer your questions. Everyone from the councilwoman for District 5 to Tamika. I got it right the first time. I don't think I'll get it right the second time. Our new transportation director, Colleen Swain, who is with the World Heritage Office. She's the director of the World Heritage Office. We also have Veronica Garcia from CCDO, assistant director. We have Peter French, director of development at Gray Street. We have Jonathan Brisden, CEO at Midway. Don Quigley, vice president and investment and development at Midway, and Katrina, senior marketing strategist. So that being said, I'm going to ask for Joe to assist me in setting up the questions because I think he's got a lovely radio voice. And then we can get some of these knocked out.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. I was going to try to show real quick for the folks who want to We already have 4 or 5 questions in the queue, but we really do want to hear from you. So again, that's that Q&A icon. I know some folks may have different, it may look different on your phones, and I know WebEx is always upgrading things. So if you see that Q&A icon somewhere, send us a shout that way, and we'd love to hear from you. And I will go ahead and give you that first one, Teresa. It came from Susan. Susan is asking us, what is the name of Rails to Trail? Will it be associated with the railroad number?
Councilwoman, I don't think we've gotten that far. We were just so excited to see them break ground.
I don't know, but I wonder if we could do some sort of naming of it. And I think that's a great idea, Susan, of naming it by the number. So of course, I have experienced some Rails to Trails in other cities, and I've experienced it extensively in Belgium because they had some old rails that they converted to cycling networks. And so I don't know, Tamika, do you have any experience with Rails to Trails and how they might be named?
Most of the Rails to Trails that I'm familiar with are in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area, and most of them take the names of the railroads that operated on them. They typically aren't specific to the train numbers, but I think that's an awesome idea. I think whatever the community comes up with, that's what the name should be. But from national projects, typically old streetcar lines, old rail lines, they usually take the name of what the line was named. So there are many, many options. This is the opportunity, I think, to be unique and creative, and it should be something that the community wants.
Yeah, that's great. And so thanks for bringing that up about naming. I hadn't really thought of that at all. So hopefully it's not too, changing a street name is a very complicated process. Hopefully this one won't be. So, because it's never been named. So that's exciting. So that'll be a fun conversation for our next neighborhood meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. Teresa, the next question says, how will this project distinguish itself from the Pearl and the Blue Star?
I think that's a great question that we should send to Peter and any one of the team from Midway.
Thank you. It is a great question, and obviously the comparisons between other brewery redevelopment projects in San Antonio are inevitable. We are fortunate to have the sort of template and the footprint of those two projects to help guide us and help distinguish our efforts to make Lone Star unique, approachable, and accessible. Certainly, the Pearl Brewery being where it's located at the Museum Reach end of the river, they've taken food on sort of as their main focal point and have a different launching point for San Antonio. Blue Star obviously has been a fantastic center for arts and has a brewery, active component. So we'll certainly be more similar. The scale of the projects is going to be very different. The whole of the Lone Star district is 32 acres. Pearl started somewhere under 20 acres, and certainly Blue Star is a much smaller project. So at our completion, we hope to be, I think the way to say it is really an extension of the surrounding neighborhood. So an extension of Lone Star, an extension of Lavaca and Roosevelt and Collins Garden and King William, and rebuilding a street grid that makes it feel like you're passing from one complete neighborhood to another, whether you're on foot or on bike or on car. And the other great opportunity that we have that certainly didn't exist when people endeavored to make this project real previously was, one, the completion of the Mission Reach. Obviously, that's a huge amenity. The improvements that have been made to Roosevelt Park and the UNESCO World Heritage designation. And having a launching spot for San Antonio and frankly, for anyone from around the world who comes to visit San Antonio, we think we can create kind of a ground zero, both for the local community and for folks coming from far afield to experience a new exciting part of San Antonio, or what's really the old exciting part of San Antonio, in a new way. That's my answer, and I'm sure Don and or Jonathan might want to chime in as well.
Peter, I thought it was a great answer. I mean, that you covered every base there. I mean, we want Lone Star to feel like it's part of the neighborhood, and it will be. I don't have any other points to add. I hope we can deliver on the vision that we've set out to deliver on, because I think it'll be something really special.
Yeah, the only thing I might add, and just want to echo everybody else's comments on the team for thanking you for hosting us this evening. But I would always be very careful to criticize Pearl. It is truly an amazing project, but the focus around the green spaces are more central in the project, and the river almost feels at the back. And I would say where we have a great opportunity is to really focus on the connection to the river, and that all of our green spaces and active spaces are located on the river. And so I think from that standpoint, it'll have a different feel and a different level of connection to the river, which is exciting.
Wonderful. I think our next question is, what LID, low impact development features will be included? Don?
So we're working through several opportunities to have low impact development out at Lone Star. The first one, I think, is rainwater collection areas that are going to be naturally attenuating water that flows out to the river. We have several water features planned that will use natural elements to filter that storm water and bring it out to the river cleaner than it entered the site. But I also think we have an enormous opportunity for rainwater collection and for green roofs that are going to happen outside at Lone Star, so that we can be making sure we're taking every responsible step we can to make sure that our development is low impact. And the prominent use of green space. I mean, green space is a wonderful, we really fully intend to feature green space throughout the site. And, I think by not developing every square inch of that property, we will preserve more open space for people to gather and for rainwater to collect.
Which, by the way, interestingly enough, I think will be an improvement. So before I shock everyone on this meeting, I had actually never been to Lone Star. It's true. I've seen pictures and I always wanted to go, but I've never been. And so I got a tour recently when they approached us about this project, and there's just a lot of cement out there. And so I think seeing all this green space will truly help the area. So that's very exciting. I think that you really are going to make a huge improvement to the area. Now, here's another one that is very important to the neighborhood. It will be walkable, but will there be parking for visitors coming from other parts of town?
Yes. Next question.
Well, I guess you could elaborate, but yes, it's a good
In
one.
a little,
Okay.
I will definitely elaborate. So, one of the things that is a great opportunity for us is to provide a lot of surface parking that's out there, because there is a lot of concrete that's already out there. And so taking what we have in front of us, we want to provide ample parking for everybody that's coming to Lone Star. But something that we've done in several of our mixed use projects is to incorporate a mixed use parking program that allows us to utilize structured parking and allow for not an overabundance of parking, but an appropriate amount of parking that fits the demand and fits the daytime use and the nighttime use, depending on the different program elements that are there. And so it's something that we know that we're from Houston. San Antonio is very similar. We are both car-driven cities, and it's something that we know is very important to people as they come to the project. We want them to be able to park in a convenient location and experience the project without a lot of fuss. So.
Great. So our next question is, how do you plan to bring in people who live in the neighborhood and not just tourists? I think this one's for Katrina.
Sure. So, I think when we talked about some of the activations we do, it's a huge focus for us to partner with the community and consider them first, whether it's local artists or partnering with organizations. We want to make sure that the activation mix is right and, the community is built in. They're our first audience. And so we want to make sure that what we're doing on site as far as activations go, but also with the tenant mix is something that they're going to appreciate and enjoy and want to come and experience.
Yeah, and I'll add one more point to that. Something that is really something that we're very proud of at Midway is, we've operated several of our projects for 8 to 10 years, and as Katrina mentioned earlier, we've programmed 300 plus events at all of those projects. And something that's really, really important to us and is a key milestone for us when something is embraced as a local destination is when more than half of those events are actually organized by local organizations and local charities. And it's something that we're really proud to highlight in our City Center project. I mean, we have a lot of events at City Center and in our other projects in Houston. But once we reach the tipping point where organizations are asking us to host their event at our project, we know that we've arrived as a destination. That's something that's very, very important to us and is a key milestone for us delivering a really impactful destination.
Thank you. So I think the next question will be for you, Tamika. When is the estimated date of completion for the Rails to Trails?
Great question. We're just saying summer because, as you know, with construction, and the drainage, once we identify exactly what we'll be doing with the design based on the environment, we'll be able to come back probably in a month or so with more details associated closer to when it will be complete exactly this summer. But we're going to keep it at summer, and I'm crossing my fingers, my toes, and if I could do Bewitched, I'd do my nose too. But definitely this summer.
Thank you. The next question is from a small business owner. As you know, Councilwoman is a small business owner. I was born and raised a small business, so, kudos to you. They're asking about leasing options. Joe went ahead and put the website on there. I don't know if there's anything else or anyone in specific that you guys want to add real quickly. Other than that, I guess the website would be a good option.
Yes.
Our website is the best way to reach out. We absolutely want to provide leasing opportunities for local operators in San Antonio and in the Lone Star neighborhood. But our website is absolutely the best way to reach out.
And
I
please, think about, interesting ideas as well in terms of pop-up activations. We obviously will have long-term leasing opportunities in the existing and future buildings, but we're interested in exploring shorter-term activations. Think of the city's open project along the way.
Absolutely. And I'll add on our website at the very top right, you'll see a teal button that says leasing opportunities. We have a retail button and an office. Those are quizzes. So you can go through and select your preferences for how much space you'll need, how many employees you have, and those will come straight to our leasing team so they can quickly get answers back to you.
All right. And so there's another question. Are there any concerns about locating residencies next to metal recycling facilities?
Man, that's a tough question. No, we have done a ton of environmental due diligence on the site. And while we're still actively in discussions with the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, we've been very pleasantly surprised by the conditions that we found on site. I'm not an environmental consultant, so I can't speak with expert authority, but I can tell you that we believe the conditions on site will not prove as a hindrance to us delivering all the different product types that we're planning to deliver, including residential.
Great. Colleen, maybe you might be able to join us on this question. What type of features will tie into the World Heritage Site?
Well, I think Peter mentioned, I mean, Lone Star can actually, it can be a gateway to the World Heritage Site. We'll have visitors that can stay there. They'll have kayaking and trail connections. There'll be amenities. We really want people to not only visit our World Heritage missions and our river, but also shop at the local businesses in the area. And so this will just add to that dwell time. We're very excited about this development. And Peter, I don't know if you want to add something.
No, I think that's a great summary. Obviously, we still have a lot of work to do to explore future phases, but giving folks kind of a launching point is an important way to make all kinds of amenities more accessible, and that's the goal.
Colleen, could I add to this? Is David Macbeth that there's a lot of existing infrastructure that was built as a part of the old Mission Trail, which is now the World Heritage Trail, along Mission Road, just on the opposite side of the river, right by this area. So lots of great trail infrastructure that's already there that can be accessed, and you can get to Lone Star Brewery from that as well, plus some of our bond projects that will be improving the area along Roosevelt that also is along the World Heritage area as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. How will the River Authority be involved in the project? I don't think we have anyone from the River Authority here. Peter?
Certainly as a stakeholder, and we've been consulting and visiting with them along the way. It's, you know, as Don and the councilwoman and everyone has said, the river, and Jonathan, you know, the river is really meant to be functionally the front door of this project. And so everything that we can do to improve accessibility to it, to improve the activations of it and people's ability to engage with it is important. Obviously, all of those things are the domain of the River Authority and the River Foundation. So we're going to continue to keep them, you know, very closely involved and explore other opportunities. You know, who knows, maybe they can have interactive events on site, you know, water quality testing, training. I mean, we're going to explore every possible way to keep them involved and engaged.
Thank you so much. How accessible will public transportation be to the site? Personally, I think public transportation is we find it on Roosevelt, we find it on Probant, and there might be even a line that goes down Lone Star. However, I don't know if you guys have any plans for that that you can share with us.
I don't recall if there is right now a via stop on Lone Star. You know, as we're working through the planning and design of Lone Star Boulevard in conjunction with TCI and the city, via is certainly one of the groups that we and the engineering team will be engaging with. Certainly creating multimodal opportunities from walking and biking and improving that infrastructure on Lone Star, and then literally through the Lone Star District site is very important and something that we're focused on. And we'll just have to follow back up with the specifics on via.
All right, so we have a question, and we mentioned parking earlier, and this is a sore spot for the community for you to consider. And one question recommendation, if you will, is the possibility of doing a park and ride. So I'll read it out to you. It says, we will need a Lone Star trolley to improve connectivity to the community. There are some vacant areas within the neighborhood that could serve as mini park and ride. Trolley could travel up and down main neighborhood streets such as South Flores, Mission Road, Probant, and Roosevelt. So as much as the neighborhood appreciates a lot of the great new innovative things that have come to it, because it is an old neighborhood, we have found issues with parking. And so I guess that's an idea for you guys to ponder on and think about. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Powers. One more question. First of all, thanks for providing this forum. What are the proposed widths for the hike and bike trail? Will there be clear delineation for bicyclists, walkers, joggers to avoid and minimize crashes? Tamika?
I don't have the exact widths, but I can get that information for you. But typically with trails like this, they're shared paths, so they're not exclusive to any one mode, except pedestrians and bicyclists. So I think as you find with most trails, once people become familiar with them and they begin to use them, people self-select. And I'm coming from a golf cart community in Florida where after the interest grows in the utilization, you'll find that there may need to be signage that directs people. But most of the time, when people become familiar with the trail and its uses, it's just like the sidewalk when a bicyclist says on your left or on your right if someone is on a shared use path. And that's typically been my experience across the country with shared use paths. But it's definitely something that we'll definitely pay attention to and make sure that we have signage, we create a safe space where using, crime prevention through environmental design, making sure that the foliage, once all of that comes into fruition, we make sure that it's safe, it's accessible, and that there's signage to alert all of the users that this is a safe place for pedestrians and cyclists to use the path.
Thank you. Now I did see that some people are on their phones, have called in to the meeting. And I also know that some of us may be using our smartphones and we're not that good at texting and doing both. So Joey's going to open up or unmute the attendees to see if there is someone who'd like to voice their question.
Yes, and Teresa, we do have a question that came through on the chat feature that I wanted to make sure we got as well. Will this project include the old CPS property on Mission Road in the future? Does anybody have some insight on that?
The property that we're currently presenting has just a 32-acre site of the Lone Star Brewery. I mean, we've been talking to CPS about their plans for that site, but we don't have anything definitive to release at this point.
Thank you, Don. Thank you for that. And as Teresa mentioned, we have another question here. What is the planned start of construction? I'm assuming he's asking about the Lone Star development.
Sure. Our plan is to start construction in 2022 and deliver this phase one that we presented by 2025.
Okay, thank you for that. And as Teresa mentioned as well, we're going to try to open it up to the telephones now. This could be a little problematic. It should work out okay. And this is for the folks who are calling in. If you're a call-in user, now may be the time to ask a question. And so I'm going to unmute all the phones and see what we can hear. If it starts making a lot of reverb, obviously we'll have to revisit that. So. All right, so if you're in the call-in audience and you have a question for us, feel free to ask. All right.
So there was one final question in the Q&A, which is, will there be lighting or other safety features for pedestrians after dark? And I'm assuming that's for the rail to trails. So Tamika?
Yes, so once everything is completed, the aesthetics of the trail, because this project basically included the trail markings, and some signage. But I think once we get to that next phase, there are other elements that we have to consider. And I think working with Colleen and World Health and just working with the community, developing what that wayfinding and signage, what the style of it will be, that is, in my mind, the next step for completion of the trail is what the aesthetics are, because this project didn't scope to that level. And that will be another phase that we can work with the community on. But certainly having light illumination and making sure, I think Don spoke about sustainability. We want to make sure that we are being innovative and working with Razi's on the line here with our public works team to have sustainable infrastructure as a part of this trail program. So not the harsh Cobra lights we all grew up with, but those that are sensitive to the community, and the fact that currently I live in an apartment where we get a lot of light, even though it's solar light, but no one wants to have that illumination of the trail, you know, directed towards their bedroom when they're trying to sleep. So we're going to work with all of our departments here to make sure that it's the vision of what people want and that it's safe and it's comfortable no matter what time you choose to use it.
Thank you, Tamika. So before we wrap up, I'm just gonna, another commentary. Apparently some years ago, someone mentioned a giant Ferris wheel and it received positive responses. So I'm planting that seed to you guys. So, and let's see, I hope I didn't miss anything else. If I did, I apologize, but please reach out to our office and we will get you those answers. I think that there's also, there's many numbers for you to write down. There's of course history at Lone Star District for you to share your pictures so I can reimagine what Lone Star used to be, since no one ever took me. And finally, I wanted to bring back our councilwoman to
close this out.
yes.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. And so let me just ask one question to David McBeth, if you're still standing by. Can you remind us of the investment in the bond for the streets in the area, and also the tech stop funding that was also part of this project?
Yes, ma'am. The Lone Star Boulevard project that is right adjacent to this future development, the bond has $5 million, and we have those earmarked as leveraged funding. So that means that we will partner with with Midway and Gray Street to redevelop Lone Star Boulevard. So the intent is to fully rebuild Lone Star from Roosevelt up to Probant, to fully reconstruct that street, make it vehicular, pedestrian, and bike friendly. And so that's the intent of that project. Roosevelt, we have another project nearby as well, and that is about a $5 million project that will restore the underpass at the railroad, and plus do some street and bike lanes along Roosevelt. And of course, Probant, that's another $5 million bond project, but it's also leveraged by another $2.5 million from TxDOT, so that we're going to be going in and repurposing those lanes to include buffered bike lanes, sidewalks, and some other interesting amenities that we're looking at right now. So all three of those projects really will add a great mobility towards the Lone Star development as well. So it's really a great win-win for all the projects that we're doing, plus the private development that's coming in.
So thanks, David. And then I think, Tamika, you may have mentioned it in your opening remarks, the financial, the cost of the rails to trails. I thought that was grant funded. So I guess not grant funded. It was part of the part of our regular budget.
Correct. So that was part of the department's regular budget.
Okay, so I know for many years we tried to get a grant. I guess it never worked out. So looks like we did it internally. And what was the total investment?
Right now I have an estimate about $500,000, but that number is just based on what we have right now. That's not the completion of the trail. So once we get the final design for the completion of the trail, we'll have what that actual final number will be later this summer.
Okay, so I think that sounds a little bit low, but you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to do is for the community to understand how much we've invested in their community over the years. The private investment, did you mention that, either Peter or Don, in your remarks, did you talk about what the initial phase 1 investment will be in the private investment in the community?
No, we didn't touch on that specifically, but I can tell you the initial phase of Lone Star, we are programming over $100 million of private investment into that program. That, you know, there are infrastructure improvements and everything the city is doing from Lone Star and the surrounding right-of-way standpoint is in addition to that. But we believe that's a roughly $100 million private investment for that first phase.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much for that. So I want the community to understand the investment of what we're doing for the community. Some of it private, some of it state, some of it, of course, our city budget, and some of it bond money. It does require, multiple sources to be able to complete projects like this. And, children are not having it. So I'll end so that I can attend to my children. But just so you all see really the great investment that's happening in our neighborhoods, and it's very long overdue. I'm very optimistic. I know having met with everybody over the years, I hope that you guys can have faith that it will happen. I know I feel it a little bit too, but it looks like because of the multiple layered investment and resources that I think this is a real possibility. And I'm looking forward to working, well, as much as I can, working with the community to make sure that this is everything that we would expect from our city and our investors. So thank you all very much for tuning in with us. I hope that you all enjoyed the presentation. Of course, you can always communicate with us. 210-207-7043 is our number. And thanks especially to my Chief of Staff, Teresa Menendez, for coordinating the meeting and doing all the slides. Sometimes I just get to show up and click the button that says join the meeting. And here I am, even though there's been a lot of preparation involved with hosting it. So thank you, everyone. I hope you all have a lovely evening. And we'll see you all next time.
Thank you, everyone.